Yes, yes, yes.
I make the motion that we accept.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Next item on the agenda is, we're finally, after months and months and months, gonna spend some time talking about the memo that we got from the Columbia County Planning Board. And what this memo is, this is for the record, I know all of us know this now, is that they sent us a sample resolution for what they call exempt action, where they're inviting every town in Columbia County to review this correspondence and should choose, make a decision about what items will no longer be referred to the Columbia County Planning Board. It seems to me like they're quite anxious to have a number of these things taken off their plate, to the point that even wrote a simple resolution for the board, should we decide to use it. So what I'd like to do is just go through this memo from them and let you know which ones I thought we could include in a resolution, meaning we would no longer refer it to the county planning board.
So here is my question. If we refer it to the county planning board, does that have any effect on us? Can they say, no, you can't do this?
They could, yes. To the best of my knowledge, it's never happened. I mean, in the 5 or 6 years of doing this, we just get a form letter back from them saying, yeah, go ahead. But they could. I don't know what our planning board's experience has been with their planning board. Okay, I think number one, I would include. How about we just go through this and you tell me if anybody disagrees or if I
Is this an extra?
Yeah.
Anybody else? That should be it.
That's the guy. Okay. Any objection to including number one?
No.
Any objection to including number two?
No.
And by the way, the only thing that we would be involved here on number two, we wouldn't be involved in a site plan review or a special permit, that's the planning board. But we could be asked for a variance on the maximum allowable height, which is why I included it. I skipped 3 and 4.
What does that mean? You skipped it.
But I'm not recommending that we send it to the plan, that we no longer send those to the planning board.
You're saying we should.
Well, frankly, those two don't even impact us. They're planning board items. They're zoning, they're not ZBA issues. You all right, Carol?
Yeah, they got some water.
Yeah, there should be some water in the fridge or something.
Number 5, I would include. Number 7, I would include. Eight and 9, I would not. And I would include. Eleven, I would include. 12, 13, and 14, I would not. Right. 15, I would. And I think the only other one that I picked out was number 25. So the question is, would anyone include any other items on here? A lot of these I didn't see relevance to this, to the ZBA, they're planning board issues, so I didn't touch them. What are you okay? Right, so what I'll do then is I will. Either I or we will write up this sample resolution. Will include these items. Then I'm gonna send it to the planning board, and the reason I'm doing that is that some of these items. Could involve the planning board also, so. For example, number 11, any area that has site plan review or special permit, those are clearly planning board items. So I'd like to send this over to Joe and have their crew take a look at it. And see if they have any objection. And there may be other items on here that they in fact want to add to to whatever we send over. Okay, cool. Before we go on to old business, does anybody have any reason to recuse themselves from this discussion? Okay, let's go on to old business, which is the public hearing for the area variance for OR. I'd like to get a motion to open the meeting.
I make motion open to the public.
Seconded by, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved, so let's open the public meeting. Do we have, Mike, anybody on Zoom?
No, there's nobody on Zoom.
There's nobody on Zoom, okay. Well, why don't we just wait 2 or 3 minutes and just make sure no one else jumps on? I didn't really expect anybody to be, I mean, this is about as simple.
No one on your road's even gonna see it.
No.
There it is.
Nothing today.
Did you meet him today?
I went to look at the property. And I get there, and so there's this platform by a window. And over here is this door that you can't get the platform simple along there.
And he calls himself a carpenter.
Yeah, and I look at it, I didn't quite, because I didn't know what was going on at that point. I just knew something was going on there. And I said, they must be renovating, but there's something's got to be done. But I knocked on the door and he explained it to me.
So Andrew, we opened the public meeting. We don't have anyone else here and no one on Zoom, but I'm going to give it to a minute or two, just see if anybody else jumps on or wants to. We did get, Sarah told me she did get a couple of emails from residents too, from residents on the road, just asking some questions, asking if they look at the plan, but no pushback. No back. All right, can I get a motion to close the public meeting?
I make the motion to
I
close.
second it.
All in favor? Aye. So moved. Okay, Andrew, is there anything you want to say before we go into our discussion about whether we approve this? Okay. You all right, buddy? You look a little tired.
Yeah, a little tired, like my phone died, so I have to go run in case I get your phone.
Great.
And
Okay. Well, we had already decided at the last meeting and voted on the fact that this is a type 2 action, so we don't need to go through this short form. So let's go through these the 5 factors and then vote. Everybody copy this in front of you. Factor number 1, whether undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties.
No, that's a no. And the reason is, in fact, I think it even enhances the look. Because it's a much more fluid, look.
Thank you for going over there and looking at it, Carol. Second factor, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance.
No,
Whether the requested variance is substantial.
no,
There was some discussion about, did we decide whether this was a non-conforming lot or not?
It probably would be a non-conforming lot, however, according to the law, let me read this, any lawful lot, that's short, this is continuation of existing non-conforming lots, blah, blah, blah. Structure or use of permanent, is it as existing at the time of enactment of this law, which it was, or any subsequent amendment. So, and none of the other issues underneath this article would turn that now conforming lot into a non-conforming lot. So it was non-conforming, but it was non-conforming at the time the law was written. So basically they get grandfathered in, which is the reason that, I don't know, for the 4 houses that we looked at so far on this road, we haven't used the non-conforming lot calculations. Make sense?
No, then to me it doesn't, but you know, it would. Because I understand how you're feeling about it, that because it was before the zoning revision. I don't know how it because how do we follow the same credentials of a conforming lot as opposed to a non-conforming lot? It makes the variances so much more, you know. It would be more beneficial to be able to use it. We used to use it a lot previously. I understand what you're saying, but
Well, if you would like, one of the things that we can do is I can ask John Lyons to give us an opinion, spend a few bucks.
I don't want to really hold it up. You know, I don't want to hold it up.
And we haven't ever used this in the past here too with the other houses, the other lots that we have looked at.
we haven't. used the
We've never
word
considered it a non-conform. What the issue that Whittle correctly raised is that it is a non-conforming lot. We would have to follow a different set of calculations for what the setbacks were, which I think in this case, I don't know if it would matter much.
It actually, they turned out to be the variances would be much less.
That's
Yeah, than when I looked at them, but what's happening here doesn't matter.
Steve, what page were you reading from?
241, right at the top. The title is Continuation of Existing Non-Conforming Lots, Buildings and Uses.
And in the past, we never considered that they were non-conforming lots.
We have not, no one has brought it up until a little bit. So we're still on question number 3, whether the requested variance is substantial.
I say no, I don't know.
I would say it is.
How many feet are they now asking again?
If you look, Ron, if you look at the plan,
Yeah,
it doesn't go any farther. It is 4 feet.
oh, yeah, it's not,
Yeah.
it's asking very little, really.
So why
I'm
do you
saying
think why do you think that it's substantial?
I'm saying substantial as it covers it. I'm reading that word wrong. I guess. I don't see a problem with any of that, really.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with it, but I agree with you that it is substantial. Because we're asking for a 129-foot variance for a 150-foot setback.
You put a lot of meat back in the back.
That's pretty substantial.
Yes.
I'd like to be there.
And we can say the excuses based on
Yeah.
But-
their
but it's-
plot, you know, I mean,
You know, it's, to me, the whole thing is grandfathered in, because,
And you're looking at it today, in today's world, I mean, it's tough to go anywhere and build anything and try to conform with what it was done.
yeah. Well, if this were new construction,
Everything here, you know.
if this were new construction, I would definitely say, you know, a no to this, so you have to rethink. It's not new construction, and I think they somehow never.
Well, you feel, I don't know, this is new construction on myself, you know, what do you think it's not new construction? You're replacing the house.
No, they're not replacing the house, they're just building it's not new construction of the house, they're just adding a 4-foot wide deck. In that sense, it's,
Nothing wrong.
they're moving the door and building a 4-foot wide deck.
Oh, I think someone else.
What does everyone else think? What do you think, Darren?
Well, I've kind of had the same thought, is the variance substantial? I think that it is a pretty substantial part of the setback. So in that way, it is kind of substantial. How that goes to, I mean, I don't know that creates a problem really for them, but I do kind of agree that it's a substantial part of the setback.
What do you think, Will?
I think it's a substantial number. But I think that, you know, it's part of that parcel that's, it becomes a substantial number. But for a non-substantial project.
No, how you look at it.
Yeah.
As that is now. That lot, that is basically unbuildable, that here,
Yes,
Yeah,
but it's already there, so see, I'm looking at it as people only had that little bit of that.
Yeah.
I don't count that as a thing.
yeah, that's my feeling. Right, we couldn't build anything on that.
I understand that the project is not substantial, like I
Yeah,
said, but the number
the
looks.
number is
substan-
horrible when you
Yeah.
look at, 129 feet variance. Yes,
But already existing,
Everybody's place over here is that the existing and everything. I mean, if they can't stretch it any further than what stretch without doing what they're doing, you know.
Well, what we're asking for here, according to the law, has got nothing to do whether the project is substantial or not. It's got everything to do with is the variance request is substantial. So in my opinion, the answer is absolutely 129 feet out of 150 feet is very
yeah,
substantial.
I.
However, what I wrote here is that the total change in project size is very minimal. So we're asking for a very large variance for a very tiny piece of work.
Right.
Mhm.
Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Yes,
Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood?
No.
no,
In our favor, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created?
That was Andrew. He didn't tell them this would be better like this. That's what caused that. It was his fault.
All right, after taking into consideration the above 5 factors, the ZBA finds that the benefit to the applicant does not outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood, or the benefit to the applicant does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood.
I always lose this when you say that.
So in my opinion, the benefit to the applicant does outweigh.
Away
There is-
is detriment.
Because there is no detriment to the community that I can see.
Most people aren't gonna see it. People aren't gonna know what's been done.
it will actually enhance the beauty of that piece. And you
Well, assuming the builder does a good job.
Especially
Are there any conditions that anybody wants to put on this? No. All right. Sarah, we will take a formal vote. Starting with me. I vote aye.
What is the motion we are voting aye to?
Oh, okay. Sorry, thank you. Thank you, Carol. You know what, one of these nights when we get through this whole diagram.
Without voice, yeah. I make the motion that we
Unless you
accept,
can be human, we'll allow that.
I make the motion we
That's
accept
why we're together.
variance to over there.
So we got a motion to approve the two variances which have been requested. All in favor? Aye. Going back to the record of the vote. Will?
Aye.
Sharon? Ron?
Aye.
Carol? Okay. Moved and approved, got the variance.
All right, guys.
Take care, and take care.
Okay, we don't have any new business for tonight.
They do the balloon test.
No, they weren't able to do the balloon test, because they haven't been able to find a Saturday when there's wind of less than 10 miles an hour. According to
gonna
our
be a
clerk,
problem.
that's not gonna happen until
Right.
August.
Tell me what, my face is telling me
Boston
that.
Quantum.
I'll tell you. It's been brutal.
Evening, we opened and closed the public meeting. Yep, it happened fast.
Well, thank you for your service, everyone.
Well, thank you. Wow, that doesn't happen very often. I appreciate that.
Well, if you have something you wanted to add, I think it's okay.
Question, how do you start now training? Are we done?
I can maybe. I think Colleen was going to talk to Steve a little bit more because there was a situation where she gets busy on some Mondays, like she has the county planning board, I think, today. And I think that, she was thinking about doing some on video and getting it so we can do it that way. I'll have her talk to you a little bit more.
Okay, well, why don't we do this, though? Let us, say that, let's start, if everyone's okay with this, let's start the next meeting at 5:45 instead of 7. And if, she's not able to come up with training, I can find tons of videos like we've done in the past.
Sounds good.
For online training, which we just showed here.
I just saw DEC webinar on their new rules for 2025.
Sorry
That's
for
okay, that's okay.
talking over you, Carol. So
No, that's
go ahead, Sarah. What would you
So,
say?
if you guys would like, we can use the training Colleen made for the planning board, because we just did, like Robert's rules and meeting responsibilities for the first one, kind of. These, we have more than that. Ready, no, I can present it.
Yeah, actually, Robert's Rules of Orders are pretty interesting. It's a,
Yeah, so read that book the first time.
it is a lot of stuff. Yeah. All right, good. Okay, so 5:45, we'll start the next meeting. And we-
Also, Sarah's been posting a lot of things, a lot of webinars and everything else. You can hop on any of those at any time.
So our next meeting is April 28,
28th.
28, am I correct? The last Monday is April 28th.
April 28th.
Yeah, so that's 5:45 we're meeting.
But you are right, we're doing the days.
Okay, that's fine. I'll go with that being the next
And,
meeting.
and when is May's meeting again? I know it was moved. 19? Oh, shoot, okay.
All right, anything on the budget report?
I don't think.
Okay, just as a reminder, Carol, because you may not have understood what that budget report was, just based on your note, but what we'll do, anytime that we're gonna be spending any money, say with John Lyons,
Ooh.
we're gonna start tracking how much we spent, with whom, and what it was for.
Right.
So there'll be a record for the
Right.
budget.
Monica needs that. I do that with Man and the ZRC.
Yeah.
Track when I speak with her.
Yeah, I'll remind people that under New York state law, if you are a board chair and you overspend your budget without previously getting permission from the town board, you can be held accountable for that overspend. So we're gonna,
Stop your
the
hands.
chances of that happening, well, I mean, it's happened and we certainly haven't held anybody accountable. But it is in there in New York state law. Can I get a motion to close the meeting?
Make a motion.
Seconded,
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
okay.
Hey, how about that?